What is up, y'all? It is Top 10 Tuesday. That means we are doing another Top 10, and we already put the vote out, and the vote came back unanimously that we wanted to do a top two-player only games, which I think is very, very important because you have to understand the difference between a game that plays well with two players and a game that's only for two players. And so this list is going to be games that are only for two people. Like, you can't play with solo, you can't play with more than two. I think maybe some of them you might be able to play solo, but this is a dueling game, and that's what I like about these games. Two-player only games are great for couples. They're great for, and I'm just going to say this right off the bat, they're great for the office because most of my two-player games, I honestly didn't think this was going to be the list that I was going to be making today, and all of my two-player games are at the office because they're perfect for, hey, you got a few minutes, hey, let's just play a quick game, you and I, with people in the office and stuff like that. It creates a good sense of camaraderie, I think is the right word for it, but anyway, this is going to be my list. Now, like I said, there's a lot of games that are not here in my house. There are a few that are here, but I'm going to be putting up pictures of the ones that I don't have here in the house, but I do own them. They're just in the office. So let's get started with honorable mentions. I have a few honorable mentions, two specifically that I want to bring out, and that is Great Plains, which is a really cool game where you're playing as like I thought it was a mongoose, but apparently it's a fox because then there's like snakes and foxes. But for me, I was like, why wouldn't it be a mongoose and a fox? Don't they have like a rivalry or something like that? I know the Pokemon do. But anyway, very quick to set up, very easy to play, man. This is a very cool two-player game. Only one problem, I haven't actually gotten a chance to play it. I've already read the instructions, I know how to play, and it looks like a game that I would absolutely love and would love to play this with somebody. I just haven't had the time to, and it sits on my shelf, and I need to get this played with my wife so that way we can actually, I can actually finally get this game played because I hear it's phenomenal with two. And the other one is Star Wars Rebellion. A friend got me this for, I think like a birthday present. Believe it was for my birthday. And he's like, bro, I got you the game that you wanted. He knew I wanted this game. It was so hard to find. And I've been wanting to get this game, but it was just really expensive. It was like $100. But I guess he found it at a pretty good price. He bought it for me. And I've been wanting to play it, but I promised him that the first time I play it would be with him. So I read through the instructions. I know how to play. I want to play it. Honestly, I think this will be my number one two-player game of all time because this is just such a cool, big, grandiose game with all these minis and stuff like that. It takes like 2-3 hours, 3 to 4 hours actually to play through one game of this. So I told my friend I'm going to play with him, but he hasn't watched any of the Star Wars movies. I know some people in the comments are probably going to say you shouldn't even be friends with him, but that's the reality is he has not seen it. He grew up and wasn't able to watch a lot of these movies, but he wants to watch them. We've just been watching through some other movie series right now, so but yeah, I'm going to play this with him, but as soon as he watches Star Wars, so that this doesn't, I mean, I don't know if it'll ruin anything for him technically, but it does have a lot of characters and stuff like that, so got to get him to watch that movie before I can play this. So that's it for my honorable mentions. And another good honorable mention, I don't own this game yet, but War of the Rings, classic two-player game based off the Lord of the Rings franchise. Definitely want to play that one, but I got to pick it up. So, all right, so let's get into my top 10. These are games I have played, games that I do like them, some more than others. That's why I'm going to be ranking them upwards. So the first one, I don't have it here, but it's a game called Hive. Hive is this really cool, you have like these little hexagon tiles, and you take these, each hexagon tile is a different insect, and each insect has a different type of ability that it does. So some can jump over others, some can go only around others, some can stack on top of other tiles, and so it creates this really cool chess-like experience. And each insect, because it moves differently, your whole point of the game is that each player has like a queen bee, and you have to corner that thing by surrounding it so that it can't move. And that's the way you have to, like, it's like capture the flag almost. It's a really cool game, man. Like, whoever made this game did an incredible job with it. And I think that anybody who likes those two-player dueling games, you're gonna love Hive, because Hive is just great. And I love the tiles and stuff like that. They have a bunch of different versions of them, and they have little expansions with it'll come with 2 tiles, of like new bugs, like the pill bug, that has a specific type of movement that's different than all the other the insects. And you can buy these little packs and add them in. And then the cool part is it all just comes inside of a little pouch. You put all the tiles inside of a pouch, bring it anywhere, put it in a backpack. And that's another thing I like about two-player games. They're extremely portable. You can bring them anywhere and just kind of play them whenever you get some open time. But yeah, Hive, that is my number 10. My number 9 is another game that is not here. I actually sold this game, but part of me didn't want to sell it. The only reason I sold it is because my wife didn't enjoy playing it. And that's a lot of times what will happen, but it doesn't mean I don't like the game, and it doesn't mean it's a bad game. I didn't think it was as good as a lot of people have said that it was, but it was still, for me, a really good game, and it was Summoner Wars 2nd Edition. This game, it literally looks like a big chess checkers board, but one of the cool things is like you have this deck of cards with all these different types of units and stuff, and you start the game off with a few units on the board, and you get to move these units across the board, but the main goal, everybody has like a leader, is to take out the other player's leader. And so you have to try to take out their health and stuff like that. And each faction is very different. You can mix and match the factions. Each one has their own unique style that they play in. And what happens is you have all these cards, but the cards just are the pieces on the board, which I thought was really cool. You have these gates that are summoner gates that will summon units. You have magic power that you're able to spend to put out cards and different things like that. And that's the whole point of the game. It's just a skirmish, fight each other. It took a little while. Like when I started playing the game takes a good minute, and it feels a lot like chess and checkers and games like that, where it's like I'm gonna move my person over here and they're just gonna play cat and mouse for a good hour, which is why I thought it wasn't as good as people said it was, because it just kind of felt like chess. But it felt better than chess because I felt like, like chess, each piece has its own, way that it can move. These things are very similar, but they have powers, abilities. They have range where you can shoot and you're actually fighting and stuff like that. But I know that chess is like the big classic game that everybody loves, and so I'm not going to knock on chess. But Summoner Wars is a really cool game. If you ever get a chance to get it at a decent price, you should pick it up and try it out because it's a really fun dueling game. Another game that's really good, this is going to be my number 8, because Summoner Wars is my number 9. My number 8 is going to be Targi. First time I played this was online, which I don't think I enjoyed the game online as much as I would enjoy it in person, but I got destroyed. I had a friend teach it to me. He was obviously much better at it than I was, but I still enjoyed playing it, and I'm like, I could see why this is one of the best two-player games, hands down. I remember I went to go buy Targi, and I accidentally bought the expansion thinking it was the actual game, so I ended up just giving the expansion to my friend who owned Targi, yeah, he taught me how to play. We played. I got destroyed, but man, it's such a cool game where you have this grid of panels, like these little cards, and then you have to, in order to take a card, you have to like almost like worker place two people in the right position, so that way that card is the one that, which, it's like almost like a grid. So it's like if you think about like a grid pattern that has like letters and numbers, and it's like A2, and then you drag down to that point, that's what you get. But you can like hate on people and just block them off from getting it. That's part of the strategy, and it's such a cool game, man. And then you gain resources and use them to buy cards and points and stuff. And man, I really enjoyed Targi. I definitely got to practice at it and play it more so I can get better at it, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I am not very good at this game, but I still think it's a really good two-player game, and I think there's a lot of people out there would enjoy this game. Very, very unique, very different, and I think that's what I like about my top 10 list, is that there's no games here that are just the same thing. They're all very, very unique in the way that they do what they do. So Targi, my number 8. Number 7, another game that I don't have here, unfortunately, is Star Realms. And I'm telling you, all these games are in the office, but Targi I don't own. But Star Realms is a two-player only game, but I think that the other one that exists, I could pull this out, is Hero Realms. Somebody recommended that I buy this, by the way, and guess what? Person in the comment section that recommended in my deck builders, top 10 deck builders, you recommended that I get Star Realms or Hero Realms. I went ahead and bought it as soon as you made that recommendation because it was affordable. Some of the other games a little harder to find, a little more expensive, but I could afford to get this one. It was like 18 bucks, but Hero Realms is another game, but this one I think plays with like 4 people. Star Realms only plays with too. But Star Realms, Hero Realms, these are games where they're deck builders, and I really like them because it's just kind of like a head-to-head. I'm going to fight you, I'm going to do damage to you, you do damage back to me, and I build my deck up with all these cards that start to trigger all these combos. Draw an extra card, draw 2 cards when you play this and have this symbol, draw 3 more cards, do 6 damage. If you discard this card and delete, or not, trash it, from your deck and you can't use it anymore, it'll do 8 damage right now, which might be the finishing blow that you need in order to finish off your opponent. Just like a head-to-head battler, really cool. You have these outposts in Star Realms that will kind of be like a shield, and it's like, okay, in order to attack this person, you have to first attack this outpost and do this much damage, and if you don't do this much damage, you can't defeat the outpost, and then the outpost just heals itself back up, and then you have to be able to one-shot it. It's pretty cool, man. This is definitely one of my favorite deck builders, but also one of my favorite 2-player games because it's just so easy, and it's so quick too. Like, I think Star Realms, I play games of that in like 15 to 20 minutes. Hero Realms, I'm sure, is the same thing. It's just got more of a fantasy theme, which my wife likes fantasy more than she likes sci-fi, so I'm hoping that maybe she'll like this one because I don't think my wife really likes Star Realms, which is another reason why I got to bring it to the office, and I was like, hey, I'm going to bring this to the office because I'm sure people will want to play it here. But yeah, my number 7, Star Realms, an incredible dueling game. Here's another fun one, and this one's actually pretty new. I did a review of this. If you haven't seen my review, you can find it on my channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I'm almost there to 500. So anyway, top 10. This was Beer and Bread, man. Wow, this game was actually really cool, and I like it because it's so unique. It's a resource management game where you have all these resources. You can only have 9, and I think sometimes you can have like 10. But you have these resources that you're able to utilize to brew beer and bake bread. And the whole point of the game is to brew beer and bake bread, tongue twister, and get victory points, so that way you can end up having the most and winning the game. And there's just so many cool mechanics. I'm not going to go too deep into it. If you want to know more about the game, just watch my video on how to play it. But man, the whole harvest seasons thing, where it's like, this is a season where you have a lot, this is the season, there's a dry season, you don't have as many resources during this season. You got the little river where it has all the little water tokens, and then anything waste, they have this concept of waste not, right? Like whenever you have extra resources that you can't place on yours, you give them to your opponent, which is like, so you have to be careful what resources you gain, so that you don't end up helping your opponent get more resources to brew and their beer and bake their bread. Beer and Bread is actually a really cool game. I think I gave it like a 7, somewhere between a 7 and an 8. I think the more that I play it, though, the more I'm like, wow, I really like this game. This is really fun, and the strategic depth of it is really cool. So Beer and Bread, that is my number 7, probably because my computer like timed out. This was my number 6, actually. Number 6, Beer and Bread. My next game, my number 5, is a game that's not here. It's in the office because I play it a lot at the office, and that is Jaipur. Jaipur is a really cool game. It's a hand management game where you are able to collect certain resources that are out there. So you might see gold or diamonds, and these are the most expensive resources, and the more of those you get, the more money you get. The whole point of the game, whoever has the most money at the end of the match wins. And so you have to try to gain as many of a single resources as you can in your hand. You're only allowed a hand of 7, and so you want to try to get at least 5, because if you can do all 5 of them at the same time, you get these combo tokens for doing a combo of 3, a combo of 4, or a combo of 5. If you do a combo of 5, though, those have the most money printed on the back of them, and you just get a ton of currency points in order to help you win that game. And then you just play best 2 out of 3, and it's such a cool game, man. Jaipur is so much fun. I think that anybody who buys this game will absolutely love it. But I'm not sure I've ever met somebody who didn't enjoy Jaipur. Everybody that I've played it with, at least, has absolutely loved that game. Super easy to play. My brother is not a big game player. Like, he doesn't play a lot of board games. I remember playing Jaipur with him, and he was like, I actually like this game. And I was like, wow, that's a shock. He doesn't really play games like that, and he actually liked it. So it's like, it's moments like that and my wife absolutely loves this game. We don't play it that often, which is why I moved it over to the office, because I have like an office collection, and then I have a home collection. The home collection is the games my wife is still willing to play. Some of those other ones she's kind of moved past. But Jaipur, definitely a really fun game. I know she would play it still. Next one, another game, office game, Seven Wonders Duel. Now, if you've ever played Seven Wonders is an incredible game where you're drafting. You can play with up to 7 people, and you're drafting cards, putting these cards in there, building your wonders. Incredible game. But Seven Wonders Duel is for 2 players exclusively, and it's such a good game. I think most people, if you're watching this, you've most likely played this and you can just skip. But Seven Wonders Duel, man, it's such a good game. Some people might be concerned that it's my number 4. But again, that's just personal preference, personal taste. Seven Wonders Duel, I loved playing this game, and I was very good at it. And I think that was part of the problem, was that my wife, I wanted to take it easy. Like, when you play with people and you're like, hey, I'll take it easy on this person so that way I don't absolutely decimate them so that they actually want to keep playing this game. For whatever reason, this game just didn't click with my wife, like, at all. Like, she just did not like or understand Seven Wonders Duel. And then so that caused her to draft poorly, and when she would do that, she would get frustrated because I would win, and there was just times where I'm just trying to throw the game, and she was just like, I just don't get this, and she just got sick of it. So because I don't have a partner to play with, I can't play Seven Wonders Duel here at the house. But I got really, really good at it. But my nephew destroyed me one time, and so I got to get him back for that. But Seven Wonders Duel, incredible game. I like it because the drafting is very, very different. Each age is a different kind of like shape for the draft, and so basically you put a whole bunch of cards laid out like a pyramid, and then you take a card when you draft. But when you take a card from that pyramid, it unveils whatever card is underneath of it, because there's cards face down in this pyramid. And so if you take a card from the top, and you have to flip over that card, you may give a really good card to your opponent. So you have to be careful. So there's the right amount of luck, right amount of strategy in this game. And I really like Seven Wonders Duel. I think everybody should have a copy of that game. Super good. So these next 3 are the 3 games that I think that everybody should have in their collection. I think Seven Wonders Duel could also be considered one of those games, and Jaipur. I think my top 5 are all great games, but the top 3 are the ones that I think everybody should own and play. My number 3 is Codenames Duet. Codenames Duet is the best version of Codenames, hands down. Want to fight with me about that? Put it in the comments section, but I'm just going to be honest with you. I've played Codenames where it's like 4 people playing, and you could even play with more than that. I think that is cool. It's great. There's a lot going on that board, but Codenames Duet is so perfect. I literally just played this last night with my wife, and it is such a good game. So basically, you just put out 25 cards that have words on them. And then you have this little chart that's going to have which words are going to be the key code words that you need to get your agents to. But this one is in the duet version. You are working alongside the person across from you. You're not competing with anybody. You are working together. But all you can do is give 1 clue to try to knock out maybe 2 to 3, maybe 4 words if possible. Yesterday, my wife was like, she's going to choose a word that will incorporate maybe a couple of the words that are out there that are her key words. And so she said water 4. And so I'm looking across and I'm like, oh, obviously, if it's water, she's going to choose boil. So I choose boil, and she's like, nope, boil wasn't it. I was like, no, you saw boil there. Why did you choose water as your clue? And she said water 4, so I got super excited. I didn't get any of those clues, I don't think, but it's just a fun game. It's such a fun game, man. Seven Wonders Duel, the best Seven Wonders Duel. Codenames Duet is the best Codenames there is, and it's such a fun time, and it plays super quick. Like, you're talking like 15 to 20 minutes max. And I just don't see anybody disliking this game. Unless you don't really like word games, I guess you may not like it. But this is one of my favorite games of all time when it comes to dueling games where you're working together. But this one's cool because it's cooperative. It's a 2-player only cooperative experience. And I think that's really, really cool, very unique. So Codenames Duet. My number 3. My number 2 is a little game called Air, Land, and Sea. I have the Critters at War edition. It doesn't matter which one you get. They're both the same thing. They have the same exact cards. I just think the artwork on this and the wild, like, cartoony theme of it just makes it cooler. You know what I mean? Because the other one, it's more so, like, military and... it's like if you're going to play like a military game, you want this big map and this big board. So I feel like the cartoony nature of it kind of made this one play a little bit better for me. But it's 2 players only. It plays super fast in 20 minutes. If you've ever played the game Marvel Snap, it's an app-based game. This game very much reminds me of Marvel Snap, except that the 3 arenas that you have, they don't have abilities on them. They're just regular arenas that rotate. And so what happens is you have the air, land, and sea arenas, and then you have to play air cards in the air arena, land cards in land, sea and sea. And so when you play them, they have numbers on them. And so your goal is to have the highest total number of points in 2 of the 3 arenas, more than your opponent. But some of the cards have abilities that will let you take one of their cards, move it to a different arena, or maybe move one of yours, make you take a card from the deck and place it into an arena. And I think in the game, there's only like 18 cards. There's only 18 cards in this game, but the combinations of the different abilities on the cards that you can do, the strategies you can pull off, I was like, dude, how do I thought this would have gotten old for me, but man, I still want to play this game, and I still feel like I haven't reached the complete, like, overall how many different strategic things I can get with just 18 cards. I think that's incredible. Whoever created this game, which was John Perry, you did an amazing job. Air, Land, and Sea Critters at War. This is a really great 2-player head-to-head game. I highly recommend getting this game. And there's an expansion. I think it's a standalone as well. It's called Flies, Lies, and Supplies. I really want to get that because I heard you can actually combine the 2, or you can play them standalone. But there is an expansion pack to this game, which makes it a really cool dueling game. I really love that game. Now, my number 1 game, that was my number 2. My number 1, it should come as no surprise to anyone, the great Reiner Knizia, Lost Cities. This game plays very fast as well. This is like a 30-minute game. But this one honestly kind of reminds me of Air, Land, and Sea a little bit, except that you have 5 different expeditions that are laid out in the middle. It's like a little board, and then you get to play cards into the expedition. But the whole point is that it has this feature, I think Tom Vassell calls it like a ratchet system. It's where once you play something, you can't go back. Like you're only going in one direction. And so this system of I'm going to play a card, right? So like they have all the numbers from 2 through 10. And so it's like I'm going to play the number 4 in this lane. Once you play the 4, you can't play the 3 or the 2. But the goal is to play as many possible numbers in each lane, and as many lanes as you possibly can. Now, one of the bad parts is that sometimes you don't want to play any cards in a lane, because every single lane is every expedition you decide to go on by placing cards in that lane, you have to pay 20 points for, all right? You get negative 20 points, but you can make up for that by having 30, 40 points. Some really good players can get 70 to 100 points probably per row. Not per row, but at the end of the game, you'll probably get like 100 and something points. But it's really good because it's like, man, I got to really think hard. And then they have these wager cards that you have to play in a row first before you can play anything else, and then each wager card will increase the multiplier of that row. And so like if you play 1, that's times 2. If you play a second, that's times 3. If you play a third, that's times 4. And so if I have 3 wager cards and then I get the numbers 4, 5, and 6, that's 15 points times 4 minus 20. And so was that 15 times 4, 60 minus 20? So that would be 40 points for that row. The scoring can be a bit confusing, but they have apps that can help with that. But man, I love the strategy. And then like if there's a card I don't need, I can throw it in the middle instead of putting a card down. But then I'm giving that possibly to my opponent who might use it to score higher for their game. And so you want to hold on to as many high cards as you can. There's a lot of strategy, a lot of depth in this game, and I really enjoy playing it. And highly recommend it. That's why it's my number 1. Lost Cities. And that's it for my top 10 2-player only games. Guys, if there's anything that I'm missing out on, I know there's a lot of great games that are 2-player only. For example, Fox in the Forest Duet. There's the games I haven't played. And I'm sure that there's a ton of other 2-player only games. Now, again, if I wanted to make a list of top 10 2-player games, then there's a lot of games that would make that list. Marvel Champions, I think that Marvel Champions is fantastic at 2, and solo, but I don't like playing it at 3 or 4. It just takes way too long, and I don't enjoy that. There are a lot of games that I have on my collection that I'm like, yo, these are great head-to-head 2-player games, but they can also be played with 4, and they play just as good at 4 as they do at 2, so why make that a 2-player game? I don't think so. So that's why I did two-player, top 10 2-player only games. So hope you guys enjoyed the list. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe as always, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care. Peace. Love you guys.